Hello. Okay. I am so sorry, guys. I cannot believe we just went 9 minutes without me realizing that we were muted. Obviously, my producers, Alex is at the game, Jerome is out. It's Friday at Halloween. It's just me, so I appreciate the chat at least letting me know that I was muted. Unfortunately, we had to restart here, but I appreciate you guys for tapping back in. This is what we're gonna do. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the Toronto Raptors, who won 112 to 101 over the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Cup. We're gonna talk about that first, and then afterwards we will talk about the Toronto Blue Jays, who as of right now are still down 3-1. We have Chase Yamamoto out of the game, but unfortunately the Jays still struck out. And so we're gonna have to have one more comeback for the Toronto Blue Jays, who have had an entire season of comebacks. So, yeah, wow. Okay, so thanks everyone for coming in again. Let me know. Streets are saying if I'm too loud. Am I too loud? We'll see what happens. But in any case, let's talk about the Toronto Blue Jays in a second. We'll talk about the Toronto Raptors first and foremost. I know a lot of people are not particularly interested in the team right now just because the Blue Jays are on, but I appreciate you guys for coming in and watching this team. And hopefully you guys got a chance to watch at least a little bit of this game, because the Raptors actually were able to turn around and correct a lot of their mistakes. Now, granted, I already hear it right now. Obviously, Cleveland did not have their top guns. And by that, I mean they don't have Darius Garland. They don't have Donovan Mitchell. They didn't even have Jared Allen here today, Max Strus. That's 4 of their 5 starters from last year not available in this game. So really it was Evan Mobley and a bunch of bench guys. So you say what you will, but this still is a situation. Even with the Raptors 1-4 coming into this game and now 2-4, this is still a game that they should have won. However, having said that, this was an excellent performance by the Raptors defensively, and they've had a lot of issues defensively. I mean, man, giving up 130 points per game is you don't even need advanced stats. Forget advanced stats. 130, you're not going to win. You think the Raptors are going to score 130? Maybe like 4 times, 5 times this season total, but you are most likely going to lose when you give up that many points. And granted, they've been struggling against teams with size, so it helps that Cleveland didn't have much of their size outside of Evan Mobley. But still, I think the Raptors also corrected and dialed back some of the things that they have not been doing well. The ball pressure, they continue to do it, but in a more responsible way. You didn't see like all-out gambles. You didn't see guys getting beat in the backcourt. You guys didn't see a lot of fouls. You still saw some silly fouls, and there are still some correctable mistakes that the team can certainly take off the table here. But ultimately, what you saw here tonight is a much more solid defensive game plan. You did not see any random, unscripted, or even scripted but over-aggressive, like double teams out of nowhere. You didn't see any of that. Now, granted, again, the Cavs don't have anybody that dangerous that you need to double team. I mean, I don't even think you need to double team Evan Mobley, most times anyway. You just play him straight up. If he scores on you, it's most likely going to be a driving 2. You can test him. You keep him off the glass. Like, it's okay. You know what I mean? You don't really need to come over with the blind double the way the team had been, trying to do in previous games against like Alperen Şengün or, against Wemby or something like that. Having said that, though, like, the reason I'm actually optimistic about this kind of result is we were seeing blind doubles that didn't even make any sense in previous games. Like, the one that continues to just baffle me is Harrison Barnes having the ball with his back towards the basket, 30 feet away from the rim, and the Raptors trying to come from behind and steal the ball and then allowing a wide open dunk. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's also not a dangerous situation, but the Raptors were just playing too aggressive. Raptors were not too aggressive here today, and they actually played a way more balanced game on the defensive front, largely speaking. And again, because the Raptors don't have Jakob Poeltl available, they really needed to protect the paint, and they needed to protect the paint by committee. And I thought the Raptors did a great job of just stacking extra bodies, guys helping in the lane, RJ with the block, Scottie coming over, Jamison Battle with a huge block. I mean, what did Jamison Battle not do in this game? But lots of good help defense in the paint. And I thought at halftime, when the Raptors went into it leading 48-43, number one, I thought, okay, this team should actually be up more than 48-43. But number two, I'm like, the defense has been really good, and I know it's good because the Cavaliers took 44 total shots in the first half. 29 of those were threes. Now, they were only 10 of 29 from three. Obviously, a little hotter for performance. Like, obviously, they could be more in the game. But what it shows you overall is the success the Raptors had in stacking extra bodies in the lane and forcing the Cavaliers to sort of settle for these outside shots. And granted, some of them were burning you, like Jalen Tyson, who is their sophomore from last year, one of the last picks of the first round. He was able to, knock down a couple of like really high arcing kind of set foot shots. DeAndre Hunter was kind of beaten a little bit, mostly with mid-range pull-ups, which is like his favorite move. And then Mobley was able to do a little bit of what he wants to do. But he had some threes to start the game. But ultimately, like, you felt secure. You felt comfortable. For the first time all season, basically, the Raptors actually played good defense. I mean, holding them to 43 points in the first half was good. And, of course, you could say this, like, they don't have their top two creators in Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and they don't have their center in Jared Allen. Obviously, centers have been killing the Raps, but I actually thought they played much more stable defensively. And of course, there were still moments of controlled aggression, but I think in the right moments, like, Sandro, I thought Sandro Mamukelashvili had a huge impact off the bench. And he was a plus 13 in this game with 11 points off the second unit. But one of the best plays of the game was, the Cavs are trying to bring the ball up. The Raptors are doing the on-ball pressure thing, which was the right thing. And then once they got it past half, the guy's kind of tired. He's trying to throw it off to the side just to sort of, give it a little rest, get off the ball, escape the pressure a little bit. And even though he threw the pass to the side to the big after advancing to the front court, Sandro was able to jump the passing lane, and he pressured the opposing big all the way out there as well. Got the hand on the ball, and then threw it back inbounds to Jamal Shed, who was able to go in for a layup. I believe that tied the game in the third quarter. Like, stuff like that. It was like the right moments of aggression. I thought those were good. I think they could still continue to improve upon it. There's still moments that just like, they're giving up bad fouls, or, they're bailing out the defense in a way. I thought Ochai had a play where, he was guarding the ball with there was 4 fouls left. Or sorry, there was already 4 fouls, and there was 3 minutes left in the quarter, and he's just swiping at the ball against a dribbler who's a ball handler who's just at the top there. He gives up the foul. That's 2 free throws. That was a little over aggressive. There was a play where Scottie was guarding Evan Mobley, late shot clock. Evan Mobley's trying to take a strong to the basket with his left hand. You gotta mostly live with that to some degree. Scottie's with him step with step, and then last second, literally 0.5 seconds left, he reaches in, he gives up the 2 free throws. Those things can be improved, but my goodness, I thought the Raptors actually played coherent defense tonight. And so with that in mind, that gave them the opportunity to be in the game and to potentially, obviously, win the game, which they were able to do. Now, granted, how do they win this game? A couple of things. Number one, and we can fast forward to the 3 stars if we want to already, because that's just how important this guy was. Jamison Battle is your first star with a bullet. I mean, in 15 minutes, and I don't even know if he was initially in the rotation because he was the 11th man, but I don't even know if he played in the first half. Quite frankly, there was some trick-or-treating going on. The Jays were going on, so if Jamison Battle slipped into the game in the first half, and I didn't notice, that's my bad. But realistically, he was not a big factor in the first half. We saw the usual rotation, Grady Dick. We saw some Ochai Agbaji, Jacoby Walter. Those guys keep cycling in. But then in the second half, all you saw was Jamison Battle knocking down huge threes. And in the 15 minutes he played off the bench, Jamison Battle gave us 20 points on 7 of 7 shooting, which includes 6 of 6 from 3. And in 15 minutes, he was a plus 28. And I'm not even kidding when I say that Jamison Battle stopped the bleeding in the third quarter, because the Raptors had a lead. They were playing well, but then they were super, super unfocused to start the second half. The Cleveland Cavaliers went on a 14-0 run to instantly turn a 5-point deficit into, a 9-point advantage for Cleveland. Raptors had to call the timeout. They had to pull a couple players. But it was Jamison Battle who was able to knock down back-to-back threes, both out of the left corner, both out of Brandon Ingram passes, where the Cavaliers were really able to extend their defense pressure, almost going to play like a 3-2 zone, just constantly caught off driving lanes at the top of the floor. But that exposed the corner shooters, where the Raptors were able to move the ball fast enough. They were able to get good open looks, and that's what Ingram did. Didn't force it, didn't try to beat three guys at the point of attack and swung it into the corner. Battle hit 2 threes to pull the Raptors back within, one or two possessions where it stayed for a while. And then towards the end, when the Raptors had the lead with them up like 2 or 4 points, and all the attention once again focused on Brandon Ingram, Jamison Battle comes in and knocks down another huge three, which gave the Raptors breathing room. And then a late shot clock had to beat the buzzer from 30 feet with Evan Mobley, Defensive Player of the Year, all over him. He shoots it from 30 and he knocks it in against the shot clock, against the Defensive Player of the Year, knocks that in. And of course, for good measure, he also dunks it at the end because these NBA Cup games, point differential does matter. So you're actually incentivized to run up the score and play till the very end. So he got himself a little dunk at the end there too. But Battle was doing everything, including, again, like I mentioned earlier, he had a play where somebody drove to the basket and Jamison Battle, who no one would say is like the most athletic guy, pinned that shot against the backboard like it was LeBron versus Andre Iguodala. Like I was just like flabbergasted based on what Jamison Battle brought to this game today. Because if we look at the start of the season, the Raptors bench has given them very little. In fact, they've given them kind of less, less than little. Sometimes they've been actively hurting the team. Once again, you saw another game where Grady Dick just wasn't able to make much of an impact, wasn't able to get open. Teammates weren't looking for him, whatever. He's not really finding the right plays. And of course, defensively, he's not really a plus, right? I mean, 5 minutes tonight, he comes off the bench, and I sympathize because it's just 5 minutes. But he misses the 1 3 he takes. Again, he needs to get up more threes. Doesn't rebound, doesn't assist, doesn't steal, doesn't block. Literally, did very, very little. What was kind of invisible in this game. And then Jacoby Walter, who came in to substitute for him. I thought Walter did a better job pressuring the ball and playing defense. But again, he also did very little. You know what I mean? Like, he got 1 3 to drop, which was good. But he just wasn't really consistently able to impact the game on either offense or defense. And so, even Ochai, who I thought, did some good things defensively in terms of rebounding the ball and just, playing big. The one play he had in this game that he scored on, he was able to drive against a gap in the defense and take it strong and dunk it, which I thought was nice. It's been a while since I've seen a Raptors guard dunk, but even he wasn't really giving you that much. And so good on Darko to actually switch up and reach deeper into rotation. And Jamison Battle, all credit to him for staying ready. I don't even know if he knew he was going to play tonight, but he comes into the game and he absolutely dominated the game. He changed the game. He was so big in terms of solving that little janky defense that Cleveland was playing against the Raptors, where it really stopped the Raptors in their tracks to start the third quarter. If it wasn't for Battle, who knocked down those 2 corner threes to pull the Raptors back in the game, and then the 2 threes at the end of the game to put the Raptors away with the victory, the Raptors would be 1-5 right now, and we'd be crashing out. And honestly, we'd had half the amount of viewers. And it wasn't even just because of the fact that, I didn't have my mic on for the first 8 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, okay? So that was the biggest thing. I think the second biggest thing, too, for me was just, I really like seeing how the Raptors operated in this game in terms of how they played to their mismatches. The Raptors, outside of Battle, weren't actually that good from three. The Raptors continue to be a low-volume attempt three-point team. Today, they shot 13 of 30 from three. 30 is pretty below average these days in terms of three-point attempts. Most of their shooters weren't able to get a lot of threes up. Ingram went 0 for 3. Scottie went 1 for 4. He's off to a hot start in this season, but he wasn't able to knock them down. Quickly continues to struggle, and we'll get to quickly in a bit. He was 0 for 3 from 3 today. Grady he missed his 1-3, and it was a rushed one. Jamal, the backup point guard, you would expect more three-point production from your point guards overall in the modern NBA. He only, got 1-3 up. He knocked it down. It was a buzzer beater just to beat the clock. It was literally like a spinning buzzer beater out the right corner just to beat the clock, and he was able to knock it in. That wasn't even on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like a fluky three-pointer. So, realistically, we don't have a lot of three-point volume, and half the team's threes were from Jamison Battle. But what I did like from the Raptors was how much they were able to play through their mismatches. You saw, again, like a Cleveland team without their center in Gerald Allen. Yes, they still have the Defensive Player of the Year in Evan Mobley, but Mobley alone is not going to be able to hold down the defense, and Mobley obviously had lots of good, impressive moments. They also used Mobley and switched them onto the perimeter to guard Brandon Ingram, and Ingram had a hard time scoring against Mobley, and so, credit to Mobley for shutting down the assignment, but that definitely led a lot of opportunities where the Raptors were able to, take it strong to the basket, and whether that was RJ driving in, whether that was, Sandro, cutting through the lane, whether that was Jamison Battle even taking in for a dunk at one point, Ochai. they were able to do that, but also able to find mismatches where they were able to get Scottie on duck-ins going to the basket. They were able to get Mamu ducking in, going to the basket, and playing through some of those mismatches against Cleveland, who were kind of trying to do the same thing back to the Raptors in terms of aggressive defense, play a lot of smaller guys, be quick, athletic, dig into the ball as much as possible. But they weren't quite able to successfully do that because of the fact that the Raptors were able to counter and use their size, at least in the front court where they had the advantage. Also, credit to Colin Murray-Boyles, too. I know he didn't really play a particularly strong game, and he actually got benched for quite a bit of it, but he actually had a couple plays where he continues to be fearless. That's the word that Darko keeps using to describe CMB's game, where he's like, I keep putting him up against all-stars, and CMB doesn't back down. And CMB had like at least 2 plays where he took a strong into Evan Mobley's chest and was able to score. One time he was able to get the foul call. He knocked down the both free throws. Another time he was able to drive into his chest and actually finish over the top. Again, not the biggest game from him, but I think just the intent and the focus overall from the team was quite good. Of course, you had a really hot start from RJ Barrett. That got the team into nice, flow offensively. He knocked down some early threes as well. He continues to just be efficient all over the floor. Second half, unfortunately, he forced a couple too many looks, and so his efficiency came down. But overall, he still had 8 of 15 shooting with 3 of 5 from 3. And 20 points. Today, you would typically see more free throw attempts from RJ. But again, the physicality from Cleveland, they played defense. They played good defense, and they weren't really fouling much, right? They were being physical without actually fouling and reaching in and just using their bodies. And so RJ ended up forcing up a couple of misses towards the end. But, you had that. But you also had a little bit of balance, right? You had Brandon, who's always going to give you 20. You saw a lot of Brandon, especially in crunch time. That's one of the things I keep thinking about is just when the Raptors get to crunch time, how are they going to operate? That was what started this losing streak, was when the Raptors got into crunch time against Milwaukee. Anybody could win that game against the Bucks, but the Raptors kind of got out of rhythm and they couldn't find Brandon, who was hot in that game. They weren't finding Scottie that much, who was good in that game. All they could really do was just turn the ball over and miss key free throws. Like, that was not strong. And so you saw here today, they simplified the offense down the stretch. It wasn't like, let's run motion and run a lot of dribble handoffs. And the Cavs, to their credit, were really into the ball and sometimes picked off those plays. They were like, let's just give it to Ingram in the post. Let him go one-on-one. And, you got a mid-range jumper. He got fouled on a turnaround jumper against a defender too small, hit him on the arm. And he had another play where he was able to up fake, draw the defender up, and then step through and finish at the rim before the help defender was able to rotate over. So just some really solid crunch time offense run by the Raptors, and that again made sense. So that was good. I mean, to be honest, there were moments that didn't quite make sense. There was like a great play made defensively by Scottie where he was able to rotate and anticipate the pass and pick it off. But then he started forcing the break, and it was him against Evan Mobley one-on-one. He tried to take it strong to the basket, but the last second bailed out through a pass behind him, and it was like nobody was running with him. Granted, people should run with him, but that's just also a bad sort of there's a time to play fast, there's a time to slow down. And in that situation, against a really good shot blocker, not a good chance to sort of just take it individually. You need to sort of reset the offense there and just get your team into the set that's working, which is give it to Brandon. But overall, I thought they actually did a really good job cohesively. And so that's not to say that a lot of things can't be improved. I think the 2 players that you continue to see, come up short for the team are Emmanuel Quickley and Grady Dick. There was a lot of momentum behind both players going into the season. I think for Grady Dick, who had a pretty strong preseason, I think there was an expectation that he would be this flamethrower, maybe even first option off the bench. Come in and really gun and run the offense. And him and Mamu seem to have a nice little pairing together. Obviously, Grady's a guy who doesn't have the ball much, so he's going to need for himself to get himself open with running around, but also his teammates to come screen for him, his teammates to play make and pass for him. So it's not exactly easy for Grady to sort of continuously create offense, but in the last couple of games, he's just been a non-factor offensively. You could say he's quote unquote spacing, but a player like him, he should be using his gravity and constantly scrambling the defense with his movement and with the screening to get him open, that it creates some opportunities. That isn't happening. And then defensively, he's just not, he's not a plus. And for the Raptors who really, really are valuing the ball pressure, Grady's just not a guy who's going to be a positive in that sense. The worrisome thing is IQ. And IQ, I don't think he played a bad game here tonight. There weren't maybe 1 or 2 shots he forced. He took a really quick 3 in transition that was kind of ill-advised. Kind of just was out of rhythm, came out of nowhere. He had a couple of drives that were like just a little bit too contested. But I think the overall thing is, when I'm watching IQ, I'm just like, clearly he's pressing. He looks uncomfortable. He doesn't particularly look confident right now either. Part of that is because the shot's not dropping. I mean, he's getting wide open looks in the corner, catch and shoot, and he's not even hitting those. So I think the confidence is a little bit low for him right now, as he's like clearly struggling to find his way in this team, in this offense to start the season. But at the same time, I'm also looking at it like, excuse my phone, sorry, but we're also looking at it like, you actually need these scenarios where he can get a chance to sort of play his way out of it. I think it's a little bit too early to be benching him. I don't think it's that desperate in the season. And again, you're committed to Quickly for another, like, this is year 2 of a 5-year contract, so you're in it with Quickly. Like, you're not gonna just pull the shoot with him at all. But I did like what Darko did today, because it was like the most innocent benching ever, right? Because after the Raptors got off to that slow start to start the third quarter, again, Cleveland had a 14-0 run, which completely flipped the game on its head. Raptors went from being in the driver's seat to sort of, fighting from behind again. They actually were able to flip up their lineup, and they took, with 10 minutes left in the third quarter, so super early on, 10 minutes left, they already put Jamal Shed in, and they already put Sandro Mamukelashvili in for Colin Murray-Boyles. And you did see Quickly come in, and he did finish the game, and he did have moments where he was able to sort of impact the game. But ultimately, what you basically saw was Darko saying, I can't wait on you any longer. This is a game, this is a must-win. You cannot pass up these opportunities where, forget the NBA Cup for a second. Obviously, it's important to win the Cup games to advance in the Cup. But you need situations where, George Springer with a little single up the line. Springer stays at first, so we have a runner on. Okay, Jays are still down 3-1. Roki Sasaki, their closer, is already in. So the Dodgers are going for it right now, and they should be, because it's the top of the lineup. But Springer gets on. He's at first. Nathan Lucas, who really struggled with Yamamoto, he's actually on now. I'm expecting a better at-bat from him today, because usually he's actually quite solid in that 2-hole, but he has not come close to even hitting the ball today. But Springer gets them started with a little weak single up the middle, escapes past the first baseline, and we'll see, man. I'm sure I'm sure Rogers Center right now is absolutely rocking. But yeah, Quickly, man. I mean, Darko basically was like, I can't wait on you anymore, man. We need to take this win. The result was there for us. He wasn't really impacting the game, and so he went to Shed. And look, the thing with Jamal is, like, even though Jamal's a sophomore, and even though Jamal definitely is like less talented than Quickly in terms of what he can do with the ball, he just looks more comfortable. Like, he comes in and he's like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to attack the ball. I'm going to pressure the ball. I'm going to fly around. My energy is being incredible. I'm going to use my quickness to get into the gaps. When I get into the lane, I'm mostly looking to spray and kick out. But if I get in the lane and they don't really step to me, I have the little running floater thing. It's basically the same thing as Quickly, but I don't think Jamal is actually that afraid of contact. Unfortunately for Jamal, he just keeps getting blocked once in a while, and those things have been a little bit, like a bit of run killers in a way. He's not really looking to jack up threes, and again, he's just, my job is to come in, defend the ball, and then I'm gonna go set the table for my teammates, and then I'll space it out. Obviously, I'll take a catch shoot 3 if I need to, but I'll just keep trying to get open looks for the teammates. And this is the thing. It's like the role for Quickly, even though Quickly has so many other skills, Quickly, like, he feels like he has because of those skills, he has other priorities. He's like looking to get the threes up. He's looking for the little floater. He's looking to sort of like take quick advantage of, transition opportunities where he's taking a quick pull up threes or whatever. But I think with Jamal, it's just simple, right? He's like, I'm just here to sort of like, I know I'm like being surrounded by much better players, and my job here is to sort of like put them in a good position. Kind of like Jamal kind of feels to me like what Nathan Lucas is in the 2-hole, right? Like, his job is, he's in between two great players in George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero. His job in the 2-hole is to take a lot of pitches, right? Try to advance the hitters if he can, maybe lay down a bunt if he needs to, maybe draw a walk if he needs to. But his job is to not hit into a double play. His job is to work the pitcher, and he's there to set up both Springer and Vladdy behind him. And so he's you know what I mean? Like, that's like the definition of a role player. And the Raptors kind of need role playing out of their point guard just because they have so much offensive creation already from the wings, right? Scottie, Emmanuel quickly, those are sorry, Brandon, Emmanuel quickly, Brandon Ingram, those guys can already create, and they even have a little bit of creation out of the center if Jakob's healthy. What they need from IQ is spacing, shooting the ball if available, and then being able to guard his man. And weirdly enough, and I know I'm not the first person to point this out. A lot of people have pointed this out. A lot of fans have pointed this out. But like this is a game where they actually kind of need Jamal more than they needed IQ, and that's why they came pretty close to actually splitting the time at point guard. You know what I mean? Like, quickly played 26 minutes and 43 seconds. Jamal was right there with them, 21 minutes, 17 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, obviously those are the only two who played point. It was down to 50-50. And honestly, in this game, Jamal played the point a little bit better. The thing is, I continue to believe in Quickly in the sense that he has such a diverse skill set that, like, there's no reason why he can't perform the same role as Jamal. There's obviously differences in their game. Jamal's a little bit stronger, a little more physical, and he's a little quicker. But I just think it's a mentality thing. Like, you kind of have to not like humble or give up on it a little bit, but like just realize what the role is. Like, look, whether Quickly plays well or not, the situation's the same, right? Like, he's getting paid $32.5 million. He's got 3 more guaranteed years after this. So, like, you know what I mean? It's not like he's like needing to play for contract. Sometimes, like, you can't get your game off in the lineup you're in, and that's okay. Like, that's okay. Like, everyone's got a job to play, and especially again when other guys are really doing their job. And it'd be different if RJ was also not scoring, then maybe I'd say, okay, Quickly could take more of the shots that maybe RJ should be taking. But RJ's been great. He's been efficient. He's playing in his role. He's not dominating the ball. So that's kind of different. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I mean, I'm actually really happy that with Darko today making that substitution early and recognizing what the difference in this game really was, and they really need to be more physical and just be able to sort of like keep just keep the pressure on Cleveland and match some of the pressure they had. And honestly, shouts to Cleveland. Like, they played the Raptors with like a pretty busted roster. I mean, they had a lot of bench guys who came in and stepped up. I thought Larry Nance had a really productive 0 of 6 game in terms of his pressure on the ball, and Thomas Bryant had a big and one, and Craig Porter had a big block, and then him and IQ got tied up multiple times. But ultimately, like, what really kept them in this game was their pressure at the point of attack, and they were able to sort of play a style that the Raptors actually want to play in terms of just that ball pressure and just limiting where the Raptors were. And again, sometimes what you need to do to beat what that type of defense is just get shooters who are able to be in the right spots and actually knock them down when they get the chance to, because they're really, really denying those passing lanes and also driving lanes to the top of the floor. And that's where, again, credit to Jamison Battle. So I'm going to take a quick break. I want to hear from you guys. I want to take your questions. And, of course, I also want to watch a little bit of this rally. It is currently 3-1 for the Dodgers, okay? We had George Springer, who got a single down the line. And then we had Nathan Lucas, he flew out to center. And then we had Vladdy, who drew a very, very tough walk. He was already at 2 strikes, but he took 3 straight pitches from Roki Sasaki, the shutdown closer from the Los Angeles Dodgers. And hopefully we're able to cash a couple of these guys in, because the Jays are running out of time, but all they do all season is make comebacks. So I'm going to take a quick break. Watch this at bat. He's going up against Bo Bichette right now. And get your questions in about the Raptors. We'll talk a little bit more about them, answer a couple more questions, and then we'll turn our focus to the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series. All right, welcome back. Unfortunately, Bo Bichette fouled off a pitch deep into foul territory. I was actually hoping a fan would jump on and just like disrupt the play. I mean, I think a pass ball, but not enough to actually advance the runners. Anyway, Dalton Varsho in the 5th spot right here is up. Again, the Jays have runners on 1st and 2nd. It is 2 out in the 8th inning. I'll keep you noticed and updated if the Jays and when the Jays come back and win this game, because we will do that. All we do all season is make comebacks. So here we go. Wow, this guy throws 100. Damn, bro, this guy's sick. Anyway, we're taking your questions, so I appreciate you guys. A lot of conversation today seems to be coalesced around the point guard position, so we'll continue to sort of talk about that. One comment here from YG7. Shed just keeps it simple, pass to Brandon Ingram and Scottie. Honestly, the Raptors are in this offense where a lot of the offense will sort of generate, scoring opportunities based on the ball movement, the way they share it. They do still play a more team-oriented offense than most teams, okay? And then on top of that, they also have more shot creators. Like, if you notice down the stretch there, oh my God, Varsho hits a missile to second base, but unfortunately is directly at the second baseman, and so Sasaki escapes out of it. Varsho hit that thing like 100 miles per hour, but he just couldn't get it out the infield. If he had, that was definitely going to be at least one run, if not more. But as of right now, we are going to the top of the 9th inning, and the Jays are still down 2. Not over though, not over. But yeah, Jamal does keep it real simple, and that's where you lean on the playmaking of the other guys. Like if the Raptors didn't have Brandon, if they didn't have Scottie, I mean, first off, this team would be terrible. But like, if they didn't have these guys, like, yeah, of course you would need more offense from the point guard position, and you would take more liberties with that position. You maybe might play more pick and roll. But Jamal does keep it simple. And again, it's about the role that you're in, man. Like, the role for the point guard for this, what the type of point guard that this starting 5 needs is a guy who can catch and shoot from 3, is a guy who can guard his position and then, set up his teammates. Like, you kind of have to sacrifice a lot to be the point guard of the Raptors. And honestly, like, why not? Everyone's contract's secure. So, like, it's not like you need to sacrifice money. You just need to sacrifice your role and opportunity. Like, and again, if you win, everyone's going to be happy, right? So, Sir James asks, what about Shed as a lead guard and Emmanuel as the 2? I just think that leaves you way too small. I don't really see a point to bench RJ. I'm sure RJ would be good off the bench as well. He's good every position, really, in terms of the offensive side. Continues to score. The thing is, you put RJ off the bench, he's going to create more of his own offense. He's better finishing plays from others than he is creating his own offense, like especially efficiency-wise. So I just don't quite see it. If you really want Shed in the starting lineup, you have to flip him for IQ. But even for me, as much as like I saw a lot of issues and watching the first 5 games of the season, I'm like really confused as to where this defense they keep saying they're going to play went. Even I still think it's too early for that. Jamal's a really nice like change of pace point guard right now for you off the bench. Eunice says the issue with IQ is that he's not a point guard. He's not really creating any advantages, and he's not looking for his teammates. He's just taking ill-advised early shots. He doesn't manage the clock right. It's interesting because I guess the true traditional point guards are kind of like rare nowadays. You look at most teams, like a lot of teams are running with like point forwards, similar to how the Raptors are running. We're even seeing point centers in the league. When obviously Jokic, Wemby was running point center against the Raptors, and Embiid sometimes will do that. So we're seeing offense sort of move out of the ball, move the ball away from the point guard position. At the same time, though, there is a pretty different approach. I mean, sometimes I was watching Reed Shepherd with the Rockets, and not just because the Rockets play the Raptors, but I also watched the season opener pretty closely on ring night, and obviously the Rockets don't have Fred VanVleet. He tore his ACL. It's very unfortunate before the season. And so they're having to sort of, patchwork it together. Sometimes they're playing Amin Thompson, who's very much not a point guard at the point. And then sometimes their guy who's closest to point guard is Reed Shepherd, who's like 6'1", 6'2", shoots the ball well, handles it. So it's like, okay, he should be the point guard. Even when you watch him, though, you see him like his first thought is like, can I get an open 3? Because he wants to shoot as many of those as possible because that's what he does best. And just the mentality for him to set up his teammates isn't really quite there. So he's not like, even though you would think, okay, if you're the point guard of the Rockets, what should you do? You should give the ball to Şengün, who could play a little bit of point center for you as well, but you can give the ball to Şengün, or you should give the ball to Kevin Durant, right? And if you miss a shot, don't worry. There's like 10 guys who are 7 feet somehow, always crashing the glass, and giving you second chances. But you don't see that mentality. And I feel like the priority for Quickley is still very much he's like a scorer who is like in a point guard's body. And the issue with that is like, okay, that is a classic mold for like 6 men. Like a lot of 6 men are like that. Like Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, I don't know, Jordan Clarkson. You know what I mean? Like a lot of those that type of player exists. Like smaller guard, mostly there to create, not really making much of an impact defensively. You know, IQ obviously had a lot of his success in the NBA as a 6 man for the Knicks. Like a lot of that was the impetus behind the Raptors trading for him, because they were like, maybe can we extrapolate what he's doing as a reserve for Jalen Brunson, where he's clearly blocked? Can we bring him to Toronto and see what he can do in that role, in an expanded role? And sometimes he's looked a part of a point guard, but a lot of the times, especially right now, and it's becoming more apparent because the rest of the team has improved offensively around him. RJ's gone better. Obviously, Ingram is definitely more skilled than the previous small forwards they had offensively. So it's like all of a sudden there is a bigger opportunity cost, in the sense that if IQ is taking these rush shots and forcing offense, that means other guys aren't actually getting into their offense. So like the more that we upgrade the talent around him, the less that we need IQ to be taking the shots. But I do agree. Sometimes it's also just like, look, I don't really have an issue with a player taking, like a point guard taking, what did he shoot today? 9 shots? Like, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about like 2 or 3 plays where he might have like pressed a little bit too much. I don't want him to be marginalized to the point where like he's just not ever shooting and he's just bringing the ball up, putting in the post, and then getting out the way like the old style point guards. Like, that's not him, and that's not the best way to use him. And, you know, I think he'd be wasting, honestly, a lot of his talent by doing that. But as of right now, the ways that he can build consistency and confidence is by playing better defense and being really, really focused and attuned to defense, rebounding, and then how to set up my teammates. Yes, you can get open shots. Yes, we want you to take open shots. Yes, we want you to create a play, end a shot clock, and attack a closeout. You know, last season, you know, Darko has mentioned many times that IQ was very good at attacking closeouts. Maybe get more of those situations. But the on-ball creation, like, you just, for the most part, especially early in the clock, especially now without Jakob around to be that big screen and roll partner, you know, like, you kind of have to fall back a little bit. And that, you know what, that's okay. Like, again, it's okay, because right now it's just about how can we find a winning formula for the team? How can we get the Raptors into a steady, stable place? Obviously, they won game 1. We were all excited, but then they just got their teeth kicked in defensively, especially for the next 4 games. So now you got to find a way to stop the bleeding. This is just how the season's going to be. We manage, we get to a comfortable place, and then hopefully with all the scoring that Ingram and Scottie are doing, they're able to then find IQ. Right now, IQ is taking on the ball handling and the play creation, and those guys can sort of get into their spots and mostly focus on scoring. But like, that's okay. That's completely fine, especially if it wins. Because again, nobody's contracts even up being affected either. It's not even a true sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like, sacrifice to me feels like Bo Bichette, who's clearly not 100%, fighting through injury and playing in the World Series, even though he's about to be a free agent with millions of dollars on the line if he gets hurt again. Like, that's sacrifice, right? Because it's not guaranteed. Right now, everyone's contract's guaranteed, so we don't really need to do all this kind of stuff. Anyway, we've yeah, what else we got? By the way, Bassett is in the game here at the 9th inning. And he's looking to sort of keep the Dodgers right here at 3-1, give the Jays one last chance to come back. My goodness, man, if the Jays come back, and we're live, oh my God, man, that'd be amazing. Daniel sends in $2. Thank you, Daniel. I'm glad Ochai Jacoby Battle play more and not Grady. I mean, look, I still think Grady's a very talented player. I think Grady certainly has a, you know, I guess I've watched every game of Grady's career now in the pros. One pattern you see with Grady is it's a bit feast or famine, right? Last season, it was like, my goodness, look at Grady Dick. Like, I mean, we forgot Grady averaged 14 points last season, largely because at the start of the year, he was like damn near flirting with 20. You know, he broke his career high in scoring like 4 straight games or something like that. Like, he was just like off to a really big start, and the heater, and like he was shooting the ball, he was moving, the offense was creating things for him, they were looking for him. They're not really looking for him as much right now. Like, he's just straight up doesn't really have the ball. You know, in terms of like, if we can break it down between like time of possession, Grady Dick might have the ball the least out of anybody on the team. And some of that is like, okay, if you're a catch and shoot guy, you're not going to be the guy on the ball. You're not a rebounder. You're not in the post. Like, obviously, where you're going to have the ball, you're catching and shooting, but he's just not even getting open very much either. And the teammates aren't really doing that much to get him open. So it's a bit of an adjustment. I actually think his stats will definitely improve if he were back in the starting lineup, just because there's other guys sort of creating easier opportunities for him. Second unit is a little bit harder, but still, I just think he's off to a slow start. And honestly, while he's off to a slow start, similar to IQ, it's like, what are the secondary skills that are going to keep you on the floor? It's like, okay, maybe you're not doing the main thing, which honestly for both of them is like, can you hit threes? They're not generating threes, they're not hitting open threes. But like, okay, fine. If you're not doing that, what else are you doing on the floor to sort of, as the coach, I want to keep you on. And Grady can do things like rebounding, but he's not really rebounding much. He's actually a decent offensive rebounder. He crashes the glass well, but he hasn't really been a factor there. He's not, again, rebounding much on the defensive end, which the Raptors also need a lot right now. And he's also not really guarding his position, and guys are having to sort of like protect him. So if you're factoring all those in, it's like, that's why it's so hard for a lot of these like shooters who are like shooters only to come into the game, because they don't have the secondary skills when that one skill shooting. I mean, the difference between a great shooter and a good shooter is like 10 percentage points. You know what I mean? Like, that's 1 in every 10 shots you're making it versus the next guy. So like, when that's not going, and that's a very highly variable skill, we've seen these moments from Grady in his career, whether it was rookie season, sophomore season, and now obviously to start his third season, where he can be a little feast or famine. And that honestly is like a bit on him in the sense that like you need to develop secondary skills as well to keep yourself in the game. But I understand. And in this case, the Raptors actually are in a good position because they have so much depth at that position that they can try these different sort of options there. And today we saw them, and we saw Darko try. By the way, I mean, we can critique Darko all we want. The point is to get a better result from the team and not be too stubborn and too, too focused on the idea you have in mind and deal with the reality on the court. And yeah, you saw it here today. Okay, those guys aren't performing for you. Let me put Jamison in for Grady. Let me put Jamal in for IQ. Let me put, Sandro in for CMB. Like, those are all pretty good opportunities. So I'm hearing IQ keeps blocking fans. Did he block Hello and Welcome? I don't think so. I don't feel like we've done anything to him. So yeah. Will, I love you, but Jays. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Jays are coming up, man. It's the bottom of the 9th inning. Roki Sasaki is back on the mound. He's looking to execute what looks to be a 6-out save. My goodness, man, this will be incredible. But in any case, Kirk is our leadoff hitter. He takes strike one, a fastball right down the middle there. So he's behind 0-1. Again, the Rogers Center looks absolutely rocking, man. It looks absolutely rocking. Actually, let's pivot to the Blue Jays. Fabio, you're absolutely right. Okay. Okay, he fouls off another high fastball, so now it's 0-2. Let's hand out the 3 stars and let's just focus on the Jays because the Jays are down to the last 3 stars. Okay, 3 stars from tonight's performance. First star, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be Jamison Battle. Congrats to Jamison Battle. I think he's already got a 1st and a 3rd star. Ooh, Kirk gets hit. Kirk gets hit on the hand. Kirk gets hit on the hand? Is that it? Wait, they're not calling that what they're saying? He hit the barrel, the nub of the bat? No, he should be at 1st. There's no way. He got hit. Okay, we're going to decide if he got hit. James Battle is your 1st star. Plus 28 in 15 minutes off the bench. 20 points. The most crucial points, too, because it stopped a run in the 3rd quarter by the Cavs, and it ended a comeback by the Cavs in the 4th quarter there in crunch time. He was able to... Yeah, he got hit. He should be on 1st. So, yeah, James Battle is your 1st star. Your 2nd star, I'm going to give that to... I'll give it to Brandon. Brandon had a lot of tough buckets. I thought he played a little tougher physically as well. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals for Brandon Ingram. I liked in crunch time. They just kept giving the ball to Brandon, kept it simple. I think over time, they'll probably look to develop different ways to sort of play in crunch time and sort of like not just keep it as simple as that. But sometimes simple was good. Simple was not bad, right? Simple was effective. Get the ball to your best player's hands. Brandon Ingram, scoring-wise, is your best player. So give him the ball, and he was able to come up for you in big moments in crunch time. So Brandon Ingram, just overall game, he got to the foul line a little bit more too. That was all good. And then your 3rd star, I think RJ had a really good one here too. But I think I'm going to give that to Scottie Barnes for the 2-way performance. Scottie, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, a block. 6 of 14 shooting. I just think that he had a lot of connective passes that were really, really nice. There's a play where the Raptors had it on the wing. Scottie like told Brandon to come get this dribble handoff. Got the dribble handoff. Two guys went to Brandon. Brandon threw it over the top to Scottie, and then Scottie instantly touch passed. Like as he was catching the ball, he was already passing it back out to, I believe, RJ, who was able to knock down the three. And it was just a movement. And that's exactly what the Raptors want to do. They want to have side-to-side movement, keep the defense in rotation, make the right cuts to slip behind the defense based on what they're doing to you, and then just like being able to sort of like make plays out of that. And I thought that was a really, really nice sequence there. And it was largely initiated by Scottie. Not only the first dribble handoff, but then on the short roll, making the extra pass out. And the speed in which he did it was really good. Defensively, he was also quite good. They needed a lot of him against Evan Mobley here today. And then, yeah, your Gerald Henderson Award winner for who randomly torched the Raps. That's got to go to DeAndre Hunter. I thought I was going to give it to Jalen Tyson, but he just, like, disappeared for the second half. But, yeah, DeAndre Hunter had 26 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Like, I don't know. The Raptors defense could certainly still use more improvement, especially on the wing. But Hunter was kind of hurting them today. And it was a little bit of Brandon. It was a little bit of RJ. It was a little bit against the Raptors, who were playing some drop coverage against him, and he was able to really step into a lot of pull-ups. Overall, the efficiency was quite good, especially because he got to the foul line as well. So that's your Raptors game. We're going to switch over now to watch the Toronto Blue Jays. Again, we have Kirk at first, Addison Barger. No, Kirk got hit. They're pinch running for Kirk, which they should be doing. Hopefully Kirk's all right. But it's 2-2 here to Addison Barger. Barger catches a high fastball. And he doubles off the wall. Oh, it sticks in the wall. It sticks in the wall. What does that mean? Wait, they just stopped playing. Wait, what happened here? I'm so confused. Wait, did Barger hit it inside the park home run? So both guys were able to come in. I'm not totally sure what they would call it. Is this a ground rule double? Because the ball hits, I think it hits like right between the base of the wall and the outfield dirt, and it just kind of died there. Like it literally wedged right there, like a wedgie in basketball. I think they're gonna call this a ground rule double. Usually you don't see ground rule doubles in Rogers Center just because of the way our stadium is built. But wow, that ball literally died right beneath the score bet logo. My goodness. And obviously everyone's running. They're not taking any chances. So Barger literally runs all the way in. Straw, who's the pinch runner, made it home. I think Straw probably would have made it home regardless. But I think there's a big debate here as to like whether or not that's a ground rule double. I mean, yes, it's affected by the dimensions of the park, but I don't know. I mean, like I don't think that's a ground rule double. That's not fair. Why is that a ground rule double? Ground rule double is usually, okay, you hit the ball, and it bounces off the grass and then bounces over the fence. So you can't make a play on it. That should be a double. Or like in Tropicana Field, you hit the top of the dome and it doesn't, it affects the flight of the ball. This just like is a ball that's hit to the outfield. How is this any different than when you hit it to like when you hit it in like where the Wrigley Field and the ball gets lost in the ravine, like the little like ivy in the stands? Like, how is this different from that? Just because the ball hit like a weird spot, like it's not like it bounced over the wall. It's honestly the Dodgers' fault for not playing and continuing to play. So they're calling a ground rule double. They're actually taking Sasaki out the game. He had thrown 33 pitches. So now they're going to Tyler Glasnow, their starter. He's actually going to come in here. Unfortunately, it is going to be second and third. So the Jays are still down 2, and they still will need more heroics in order for the comeback to be complete. But my goodness, I just don't for the life of me understand why that's a ground rule double. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. Like, it's not unplayable. It's right there on. It's like they chose not to play it. It's literally right there, sitting on the. Like it's their fault. The Dodgers stopped playing. Okay, whatever. I guess the Jays are still in a beautiful opportunity. This is literally all the pressure in the world right here. Jays obviously still down 2, but runners at second and third. And Tyler Glasnow is coming in. My goodness, man, the Dodgers have to hold on for dear life. But that is one of the craziest plays. I don't ever remember that happening. Like, I've seen like hundreds of games at Rogers Center / Skydome, my hat. You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen that happen before. Like, okay, whatever. It's fine. The Jays have a great chance here. Runners at second and third. Oh my God. If they do this, yo, you know it's intense when they legit don't even go to a commercial break. They just like usually when a pitching change happens, they go to commercial break. They have not gone to commercial break. They were just focusing on Tyler Glasnow. I cannot imagine how loud it is in there. Everyone just keeps yelling Joe Carter. I mean, if the Jays hit a home run right here, it'll be the same scenario as Joe Carter. Game 6, walk-off 3-run home run. Unfortunately, okay, so who's actually up? Because we have the bottom of the order coming up. But, I mean, the Jays' bottom of the order are just incredible, man. Okay, it's Ernie Clement. I'm going to predict it, man. Ernie Clement jumps on the first pitch and he slaps a single down the middle, and it scores 2 right here, and it ties the game. Ernie Clement is an incredible first pitch fastball hitter in particular, and especially for a starter coming in, I can't imagine his first pitch is going to be some off speed, right? Obviously, a wild pitch could get a chance to just score a guy anyway. So I think they're going to try to get in and get ahead with a fastball, and Ernie is so good at hitting first pitch fastballs. But we'll see. Oh my goodness, man. I cannot believe we're in this moment right here. Guys, that's honestly, I appreciate you guys watching, but if you don't have a TV on right now watching this Jays game, I don't know what else you're doing with your life, man. This is insane. First pitch fastball. Ernie pops it up, unfortunately. The runners have to hold, so it's 1 out. He did go after the first pitch. But he unfortunately only got it to the infield. Oh, okay. That's okay, though. That's okay. I can't blame him. That's his approach. His approach is like that. Okay. It's okay. We got 2 more chances here. At least. At least. We have coming to the plate. Who is this? Andres Jimenez. Andres Jimenez is at the plate. Against Tyler Glasnow. First pitch is a curveball high. So he's ahead 0-1. Or sorry, 1-0. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine how loud it is in the arena right now, man. I can only imagine. Andres Jimenez, do you want to become a legend? Do you want to become immortal in this city? Oh, ooh. Oh, no way. No freaking way. He hits a soft bloop into left. It looks like he was going to drop. It was dropping all the way. He catches it. He alertly, the left fielder throws to second. Barger was a little bit too far behind. The throw comes in. The umpire calls him out for a double play. They are going to get a chance to review this. I can only imagine the Jays will ask for review. It was bang, bang, but that would be an incredibly unlucky way to get out of this situation. I mean, my goodness, that ball was almost there. Kiki Hernandez throws it to second. Yeah, he's out. The foot's on Rojas's foot is on the bag, and honestly, Barger just needed to be better base running here, man. He's so far out. Yeah, he's out by a mile. Oh my God. Oh. Yeah, and he maintains the tag as well. Barger just should not have been off of second base. There isn't a need to. I mean, you have to be really sure that single is going to drop if you're going to try to come home from there. Because even if it drops, I'm not even sure if he can come in. But again, they're getting caught halfway for the double play. I mean, worst case scenario, you have second and third with like George Springer coming up, man. Wow. I mean, credit to the Dodgers. They fought like crazy to force Game 7, but that's just a huge mistake. I mean, Barger is a fantastic player, and he's come up for his big. But this is just a bit boneheaded. I'm sorry. Like, you can't be getting with the out on the base pass here. I mean, I still need someone to explain to me why that was called a ground rule double instead of a inside the park home run, because the Dodgers just decided not to play it. It's not like you couldn't play that ball. It was just right there on the ground. They just literally left there on the ground. Like, I don't understand. But you nevertheless, you cannot be giving that out, man. You just cannot be giving up that out. That is like Barger, dude. Oh my God. For all that you've done, like you just needed it to be safe there. You had to be safe. You just had to be safe. That double play was just absolutely. Oh, that's gut-wrenching, man. Okay, Game 7, Saturday night in the city. I can't wait because I'll actually be able to watch it without obviously the Raptors game on the side. But of course, I am incredibly gutted because I can only imagine George Springer with runners at second and third coming up to hit in the bottom of the ninth inning against the Dodgers. Wow. I mean, I knew Ernie was going to go after the first pitch. That was unlucky. Jimenez took the first pitch and then swung at it. There was a chance for that to drop. Unfortunately, he just couldn't get it to come down quick enough. But you just have to make sure you're safe. Like, you just have to. That was a huge base running error by Addison Barger. But we go again. The Jays play game 7. Winner takes all. Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. I guess this ends the show. Thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Yeah, Raptors win tonight. They beat Cleveland. I know this is not the most important game 6 that was happening, but the Raptors do improve to 2-4, and they do improve to 1-0 in the NBA Cup. Does that will that wipe your tears right now if the Raptors are 1-0 in the NBA Cup versus the Jays losing in game 6? Well, we probably all know. So anyway, thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, tomorrow, game 7. Unbelievable, man.